Final match. It's a best of 5, and it's gonna be a rare look at PvP. Now I know in the past it's PvP equals ZZZZ, and not a lot of people enjoy the matchup, but I have not seen enough PvP to know whether it's good or not. The reality is, Protoss just have not had a footing in Legacy of the Void, and now for the first time in a long time, we're seeing them dominate. I mean, again, those double 3-0s are kind of astonishing if nothing else. But we'll see how this one plays out. Spawning here in the bottom left side of Orbital Shipyard, it's gonna be the red Protoss player. Flipside Tactics, Puck.
And in the top, sort of right, is the yellow Protoss, Kiwikaki.
Yeah, washed up nub. I gotta tell you, my money, I think the smarts in me would say Puck every time, because we've seen Puck be more consistent through results. Heart of the Swarm, he's a great player. We see him stream quite a bit here with Legacy of the Void. Kiwikaki has been kind of keeping to himself and holding on to like that #1 spot on ladder for a long time though. So I have no idea if he just cheesed his way there, if he's ever even had to fight a Protoss versus Protoss. I mean, I don't know, but I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
Ooh, is this gonna be double Adept someday?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so PvP does have one thing that's changed in the early game a little bit, guys, where before it was like you could do really heavy Stalker aggression. We all seen it in HOTS, Frigate, all-ins and all this, but Adepts are this really, really frustrating dynamic now where, unfortunately, you can't kill them very fast unless you have your own Adepts. So if one player goes Stalker and one player goes Adepts, Stalkers tend to be better generally, yes, but in the early game, the Adepts will kill so many probes before the Stalkers can stop them. And the reality is, even with Chrono Boost being brought back, probe kills are really hard to recover from. It's not at all like it was in Heart of the Swarm, where you've got this maximum Chrono Boost up, you get a ton of probes out ASAP.
Yeah, I feel like it's only accessible to lose mass probes is when like you have so much, it's late game and you need to free up your army supply anyway.
So Kiwikaki may be shifting gears here. He goes for the Stargate, and he probably makes an Oracle in with some Adepts, I'm hoping, because he scouts that Puck's gone for a Nexus, and he knows that Puck's going to have a lot less to fight with due to this. I mean, yes, you're going to have the overcharge from the Mothership Core, and there could be a couple of Adepts waiting, but the reality is there's probably not going to be a lot of anti-air. So if this is actually just straight up an Oracle right off the bat, this might catch Puck off guard.
I think it'd be really nice if Kiwikaki actually threw down his an offensive pylon and photon overcharged it as well back to Puck.
It'd be gross, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, we do have Puck doing a pretty greedy build with the taking the natural.
Yeah, but if he gets away with this puts him massively far ahead in the PvP. That much hasn't changed. So the big question is whether he can get away with it. The other really cool factor is he does get a second Chrono Boost with this. Chrono Boost can be left on a building permanently. Right now it's building probes, but you can leave it on a gateway, a Stargate, a tech building, anything. You just leave it on and set it and forget it type thing.
Yeah, that is actually really nice.
Oh no. Some Adepts are going to get in here towards the main. Where's the Mothership for it? Oh dear. She's off in the middle of nowhere. Oh, this is going to be so bad. Puck is going to lose some probes. He's going to bleed out some workers. Already losing about 3. This is there's no reason for the Mothership Core to have been out of position like that, I feel. I'm really curious on why that was so badly out of position.
I feel like Puck was actually focusing on his Adepts that were being aggressive to Kiwikaki. So he wasn't really looking or paying attention all too much. And now the Oracle's going to come in. And hopefully maybe the overcharge on the pylon will disintegrate and then the energy's burnt.
No, the overcharge of the pylon doesn't cover the mineral line. The southern half of the mineral line is exposed in the main. I think the one in the natural is exposed on the east side as well.
Oh,
doesn't
wow.
matter though, because the Oracle gets in here and the Mothership Core is not in position, so she's going to just pop that overcharge and hope for the best. But already down 12 workers, Kiwikaki is devastating Puck.
Yeah, I mean, well, Puck definitely played very risky taking that really early expansion. And now, oh, yep, the Oracle's found that little nook where he can not really be hit by the overcharge.
I mean, the advantage was that there was 2 Nexus, so he should have had more workers. And he might be able to recover a decent amount out of this had Kiwikaki not gone for his own Nexus. So now Kiwikaki's going to be able to extend his own lead. And I love the Phoenix follow-up to this. Knowing that he's done some damage to his opponent, Puck's going to be warping in what is most likely Stalkers. And if that's going to be the case, then there's only going to be about 2 or 3 of them. These Phoenix could actually just Graviton beam them up, crowd control them while the Oracle goes in for kills.
Yeah, and that will actually be really strong here for Kiwikaki. Kiwikaki definitely showing that he knows what he's doing. He knows how to play a very aggressive one base and kind of abuse his Protoss opponent that plays very gritty. I mean, he's like, this is Legacy of the Void, and yeah, sure, you start with a lot more workers, but that doesn't really give you what is it called?
An advantage?
And,
I'm not sure what word you're reaching for here, Livia. I would totally
yeah, no,
chime
I
in. I'm
didn't know
sorry.
why. Okay, listen, I'm very tired.
This is where you're just like, all right, back it up. I didn't mean to say anything. Moving on. Cool things are happening. Explosions. Pew, 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 pew.
Pew pew laser beams.
Yeah, that sounds like base rate TV casting anyway, so it wouldn't be too far off base. But as the Phoenix potentially distract out here again, they can lift up each and every one of these stalkers individually and send that Oracle into the mineral line. But they are just going to back away. He's going for Void Rays behind this. I mean, I guess that is the difference between Puck and Kiwikaki. We saw Kiwikaki also play heavy air versus Bly earlier. Going heavy air now versus a Protoss. So it's kind of cool to see. But the Oracle is going to go down. But he's still up by almost 10 workers.
And that's actually a really huge lead for Kiwikaki. Like, he will be able to outproduce Puck just with that 10 worker lead. Like, he could probably even get his third base quicker. Having that one unit to micro with above your opponent really can give you the edge to just win the entire engagement.
I didn't realize this was actually a full wall off, by the way. I think I was going to bring this up earlier, but that's why the adepts from Puck never got in here. He couldn't even sign a transfer through units, so that's making a little more sense. Downside is that with all these stalkers, there's not a lot of buffer for his Void Rays. The Void Rays will do a tremendous amount of damage with that prismatic alignment if he can do it, but loses one immediately. Phoenix are rushing home, going to have to pick up some of these stalkers just to keep them off the Void Ray, but the Void Ray falls and now that damage advantage is gone. In fact, we're seeing Blink pretty good for Puck, and even though he took those worker losses earlier, Kiwikaki does not have the greatest army to fight this with.
And the pylon overcharge comes down.
Oh, gets the Mothership Core though. So that's going to be the last pylon overcharge.
Yeah, he does have a double pylon overcharge though, keeping those stalkers at bay. Keep buying enough time for another Void Ray and another Immortal for him to be able to hold the high ground here.
I really like these Graviton beams, holding everything in place so the Void Rays can just shell and do some damage. And Immortal pops out here too. And Puck had a really nice army, but looks like the timing not on his side. Those Chrono Boosts, by the way, make these Void Rays come out so very quickly.
Yeah. And now Puck, he's back up for now. Kiwikaki, he says, I'm going to throw down my third anyway, even though Puck, he is being aggressive. The barrier goes down on the Immortal.
Yeah, and I think he's got a pretty long cooldown. It's almost like a minute, isn't it? Or I guess 45 seconds, but still, nonetheless. These Stalkers are being blinked really well. The control is great, and the Void Rays are really funny and hard to snipe these units, but Stalkers are still bleeding out at a fairly fast pace. The worker count is kind of evened up through this, and it's more that Kiwikaki stopped producing while Puck continued to, so not like Kiwikaki took a bunch of probe losses behind mineral lines while this went on, but this was really cool to see that was a way for Puck to catch up in this game, to get back on track.
Yeah, and behind this, Puck actually was taking his third base as well, so now that his third base is pretty fully saturated, transferred a lot of probes from his main base actually. He's not looking in too bad a shape now, actually, coming back to this game quite strongly.
Some pawns going down for Kiwikaki, and it looks like he might start trying to move out a little bit here. It's really hard. Void Rays are really good units, but they're easily picked off. And the Mothership Core is a little bit frail from earlier, not a lot of energy, so a recall might not even be that easy to use either.
Yeah, for sure. But the armor supply is actually pretty close here. I mean,
It's weird though, because like the numbers are close, but the units are very different.
Yeah, like the unit composition is so vastly different for either player. But I guess it just will come down to how either player will utilize their unit compositions. I mean, I feel like with this many Void Rays, Kiwikaki can definitely do some aggression to the back base of Puck.
I really like these Templar coming in. Now, Storm's on the way, and that's what I imagine a lot of us look towards him building into that, but whether it's feedback on a Phoenix, an Archon for some soaking of those Void Rays, or whether it's an actual Storm that comes down, Puck's one of the few players who's actually used Storm in PvP, even in Heart of the Swarm. So that's kind of cool to see. But I am a little bit preoccupied with this Fleet Beacon in production. I have no idea about late game PvP anymore, because they did change the Tempest back now, I believe. It's more like it's part of the Swarm counterpart.
Yeah, it used to have that ability where you
damage over time.
Yeah, and then the unit's pretty much guaranteed to die after about the 500 seconds is up.
Well, if the range is back and the damage is back to where it was, then I can kind of see that potentially working for baiting out fights, but I really like these Void Rays. In fact, it's going to be carriers. What were we thinking? Of course, it's Legacy of the Void. Of course it's going to be carriers.
Hell yeah. I mean, Kiwikaki is going for that air unit composition.
This is scary, though, because this is really, really funny timing for this. There's really not a lot of the ground. Void Rays are very powerful, and there's a ton of them, but there's going to be Storms coming down on top. This is going to be a couple Archons to soak the hits and dealing splash damage. And frankly, the Zealots will probably wipe out everything on the ground, despite the fact that there are Adepts in play.
I know, and he's hitting before carriers have arrived.
Yeah. There's that Storm. Oh my god, on top of the Void Rays, clumped up like they are. Kiwikaki's got to move. Standing still, taking so much damage. There's no way he takes this fight. Gets obliterated. Turns those Templar into the Archons as well if he wants. I'm going to back up for a little bit because the overcharge is a little bit nasty to deal with, but snipes the Mothership Core. There might be a couple carriers about to spawn, but I don't think they can actually deal with the Stalkers. Remember, they don't spawn fully loaded. They've only got 4 Interceptors. Good game's going to be called, and Solace, a.k.a. Puck, will take game number 1.
Nice.
And those Storms were beautiful. I'm sorry, guys, I did the caster thing, but those were really good Storms, and that was really cool to see. You never see that in a PvP. Disruptors are the obvious choice. They've got all that bonus damage versus shields now. There's just, that was a cool game. That was a cool game.
It was awesome. I mean, there was a timing window that Puck really needed to hit before those carriers were out because it just made that air unit composition so much stronger. And he hit it really hard, and pretty much just won the game. The Photon, or rather the Pylon overcharges were too late in the engagement there, that last engagement, to really act defensively at all.
Well, map number 2 is going to be Ruins of Saras. If I could coax you into making that while we go to a small break. We'll keep this one really short, guys, like 30 seconds maybe. We'll just hop into the game, and we'll see you guys in a moment.